DeFi didn't whisper this week, it detonated. I'm watching dashboards refresh in real time, and the numbers don't crawl upward, they jump. Overnight, total value locked surged across the sector, and not evenly. Some protocols are sprinting while others are gasping for relevance. This is a structural shift. When capital moves this fast, it's signaling belief, speculation, and survival instincts all at once. And I want you to feel this moment the way I did, that quiet realization that something irreversible may have just begun. According to sector-wide data highlighted by Blockchain Reporter this week, DeFi's total value locked recorded one of its sharpest short-term increases in recent months. TVL isn't hype, it's conviction measured in dollars. Capital doesn't lock itself into smart contracts without intent. When I see TVL climbing alongside rising wallet activity and cross-chain liquidity flows, I don't just see growth, I see a vote of confidence from users who've been burned before and are still coming back. That's important, because DeFi capital today is cautious, experienced, and deeply selective. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Sitting at the top of this week's TVL growth charts are names that weren't supposed to be here so soon: Saros, Blackhole, and Giza. Blockchain Reporter's breakdown shows these protocols outperforming incumbents on a growth rate basis, not just raw size. That matters. These aren't legacy DeFi giants riding old liquidity. These are lean, adaptive systems pulling in fresh capital. When newer protocols start absorbing liquidity faster than established ones, that's not luck, that's market alignment. And this is the question I keep asking myself as I stare at the charts. Why these winners right now? Because at the same time these protocols are climbing, others are stagnating or bleeding. Some well-known DeFi platforms saw flat or declining TVL during the same period per the same reports. Capital didn't leave DeFi, it rotated. That distinction is everything. This isn't a risk-off moment, it's a discrimination event where money chooses efficiency, clarity, and momentum over nostalgia. Let's break the spell and look under the hood. The growth drivers are surprisingly consistent: aggressive liquidity incentives, simplified UX, faster settlement layers, and integrations that actually matter to users. Saros leveraged ecosystem-native demand. Blackhole optimized yield routing. Giza leaned into automation and composability. Blockchain Reporter notes rising active wallet counts alongside TVL, which tells me this isn't just whale parking, it's usage, and usage is the only growth that survives bear markets. Everything else eventually evaporates. Here's where the story widens. While this TVL race plays out, DeFi adoption is also accelerating geographically. Emerging markets are no longer a side narrative. According to global adoption trends cited by Blockchain Reporter, wallet growth and on-chain activity are rising fastest in regions historically underserved by traditional finance. That matters because capital inflows from these regions behave differently. They're utilitarian, not speculative. When DeFi protocols align with real economic needs, growth becomes sticky. Let's be honest, in much of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, traditional banking has failed the average user. High fees, slow settlements, limited access, trust deficits. I don't say that as ideology, I say it as lived reality. When financial content examines emerging markets, the pattern is clear. Millions remain underbanked or misbanked. DeFi doesn't enter these regions as a luxury, it enters as a workaround. And workarounds, when they scale, become replacements. This is where my conviction sharpens. DeFi in the global south isn't about yield farming screenshots, it's about infrastructure, permissionless access to liquidity, borderless settlement, programmable money. These aren't features, they're lifelines. Protocols that understand this, especially those integrating real-world assets or stable settlement rails, are positioning themselves for structural relevance. Financial content highlights increasing interest in RWA tokenization for emerging markets, and that's not accidental. It's inevitable. What excites me most isn't what's trending on X. It's what's quietly happening beneath the surface. Localized DeFi usage, stablecoin rails replacing remittances, on-chain credit experiments, protocols aligning incentives with real users, not mercenary capital. These are the signals you miss if you only track price. When adoption grows quietly, it tends to last loudly, and I see early echoes of that pattern forming right now. But let's slow down, because euphoria is dangerous. DeFi remains volatile. Liquidity can flee as fast as it arrives. Regulatory uncertainty looms, especially in emerging markets. Internet access gaps remain real. Education remains uneven. Even Blockchain Reporter emphasizes that rapid TVL growth often precedes sharp corrections. I've lived through enough cycles to know this. Momentum tests belief. Only protocols with real usage survive the pullback. Everything else becomes a cautionary chart.
So now we're here. Saros, Blackhole, Giza, fast rising, capital hungry, watched. The question isn't whether they've won this week's race. They have. The question is whether they can defend that position when incentives normalize and attention shifts. History tells us most can't, but history also tells us a few redefine the curve. This is the knife-edge moment where legends and footnotes diverge. I'll be transparent with you. I care about this moment because I've seen what broken financial systems do to people with talent but no access. DeFi isn't abstract to me. It's philosophical. It's psychological. It's about sovereignty. Watching Global South adoption intersect with protocol-level innovation feels like watching two tectonic plates finally collide. When that happens, the landscape doesn't revert. It reshapes.
Zoom out further and the timing becomes uncanny. Global liquidity cycles are shifting. On-chain tooling is maturing, user expectations are rising, and emerging markets are digitally leapfrogging legacy systems. When these forces align, growth isn't linear, it's exponential. The TVL race we're watching now may be the early signal of a much larger redistribution of financial power. Let me be clear, this isn't about chasing APYs. This is about who builds the financial rails of the next decade. The protocols winning today are testing narratives, incentives, and trust in real time. Some will fail publicly, others will quietly entrench themselves, and a very small number will become default infrastructure for millions who never had one.
Now, let's get personal and look at an area where DeFi isn't just changing private finance, it's poised to transform public finance, government project funding. Traditional disbursement channels are slow, opaque, and prone to leakages. According to a December 2025 Blockchain Reporter report, over 42% of public sector funds in emerging markets face delays exceeding 30 days due to bureaucratic bottlenecks and bank intermediaries. DeFi platforms, on the other hand, allow for programmable, transparent smart contracts that release funds automatically upon predefined conditions being met. Imagine a local infrastructure project in Lagos. Instead of waiting weeks for approvals, funds could be dispersed instantly as milestones are verified on-chain, ensuring contractors are paid accurately and on time. The real power? Every transaction is publicly verifiable, reducing corruption risks while increasing accountability. Personally, when I first tracked a pilot DeFi municipal fund in Nairobi in late 2025, I saw contractors receiving automated micropayments directly to their wallets, bypassing middlemen and avoiding traditional delays. This isn't hypothetical. The technology is live, data-driven, and ready to scale. For governments struggling with efficiency, DeFi offers precision, speed, and transparency that traditional banking simply cannot match. And for citizens, it means their taxes are reaching projects where they matter most.
So now I turn it to you, not as a viewer, but as a participant. If you're watching from Nigeria, Kenya, India, or anywhere in the Global South, ask yourself this: what would change if DeFi truly worked for you? Faster payments, global access, ownership. Because adoption doesn't start with protocols. It starts with people deciding something is worth using. We're standing at a fork in the DeFi timeline. One path leads to recycled hype, the other leads to real transformation. Which protocols dominate DeFi in 2026 won't be decided by influencers. It'll be decided by usage, resilience, and relevance. Drop your prediction in the comments. Name the protocol you believe survives the cycle. Because years from now, this moment will be referenced, and only a few of us will remember we were watching it unfold in real time. Click the card above to watch more interesting videos. This is Blockchain Money.